All right, everyone, ready to dive into another deep dive. This time, we're tackling something a lot of you are probably facing, or will face, that sales account manager interview.
It's a big one, and we're going beyond the usual tips and tricks today.
We're going deep into the RoleCatcher resources, really dissecting those sample interview questions. Think of us as your interview prep buddies.
We'll break down the strategy, those tricky follow-ups you might get, really help you nail those answers.
Okay, let's jump right in. That classic question. Tell me about your previous sales experience. Seems simple, but how do you make it stand out?
This is where you bring in the numbers, the concrete results. Don't just say, I did client outreach. Tell them, I revamped our outreach and it boosted engagement by 15% in 6 months. Make them see the impact.
Oh, I'd be writing that down for sure. And I bet a good interviewer would pick up on that, maybe even ask, tell me more about that outreach strategy. What exactly did you do?
Exactly. That's where you're ready with the specifics. What tools did you use? What were the hurdles you overcame? Did you analyze any data? The more detail, the more believable and the more impressive you sound.
And that's where I feel like RoleCatcher's AI can be a lifesaver. I've used it, and it's amazing how it analyzes job descriptions to pick out keywords that hiring managers love.
Totally. It's like having your answers translated into recruiter speak. But let's get back to those questions. Another common one is, how do you prioritize your sales leads?
Ugh, that one always makes me nervous. How do you even answer that and sound organized?
Have a system, a method to your madness. You could say, I use lead scoring based on company size and need, but I also factor in engagement, like if they're visiting our website or opening emails. To give a real example, this approach helped me close a huge deal last year with a company that initially seemed low priority.
Concrete examples. I'm seeing the pattern here. Now, what if they follow up with, what tools do you use to manage those leads?
Time to show off those tech skills. List those CRM systems, the sales automation tools you've mastered, but don't just name drop. Tie it back to your process, like, I'm great with Salesforce, which lets me track interactions, personalize my outreach, and ultimately build stronger client relationships.
Okay, we're on a roll. Time for a tough one, though. How do you handle a difficult client situation? We've all been there, but nobody wants to admit it in an interview.
This isn't about pretending you've never hit a bump. It's about showing how you handle those bumps constructively. Interviewers want to see that problem-solving in action, that emotional intelligence.
So no more, I've never had a difficult client, which, let's be honest, sounds a little fake.
Right. Think of a real example, a challenging client, and how you listened to their concerns, stayed calm, found a solution that worked. It's about showing you can turn a negative into a positive.
Shows you can handle the heat, which is probably key in sales.
Exactly. They want to see that resilience. Okay, shifting gears a bit. They often ask, how do you stay updated on industry trends? It's not directly about closing deals, but it speaks volumes.
Shows you're in it for the long haul, not just here for a paycheck.
Exactly. This is where you show your passion. What publications do you read, conferences you've attended, even online communities?
This reminds me of RoleCatcher's Career Guide. That section on industry trends is pure gold. And they even talk about AI in sales, which is huge these days.
Absolutely. Mentioning you're aware of these trends and ready to adapt shows you're forward-thinking, and that's valuable for any sales account manager.
All right, another big one. How do you approach building and maintaining relationships with clients? It's got to be more than just making the sale, right?
Building relationships is everything in account management. It's about being a trusted advisor, understanding their needs, delivering value consistently.
Playing the long game, I like that.
Exactly. So when you answer this, highlight your ability to build rapport, listen actively, and tailor your approach to each client. No one size fits all.
Instead of that generic, I'm a people person line, I need a concrete story about going above and beyond for a client, right?
Now you're getting it. Share that story that demonstrates your ability to connect on a personal level, build trust, and deliver those exceptional results.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like I could handle this. But let's talk numbers. How do you measure the success of your sales efforts? What's the right way to answer that one?
It's easy to just focus on revenue, hitting those quotas, but interviewers want to see a bigger picture.
So it's not just about the money, it's about the impact.
Exactly. Talk about things like customer lifetime value, client retention rates, customer satisfaction scores. These show you're thinking long-term, building something sustainable.
That makes a lot of sense. And I bet this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI could be helpful. They can probably tell me which metrics a company really values.
You bet. They can analyze a company's website, reports, even social media to figure out their key performance indicators, their KPIs. Weave those into your answer, and you understand their definition of success.
Like having a secret decoder ring for the company's priorities.
Exactly. Now, are you ready for another challenging question?
Hit me with it. I'm feeling good.
All right, ready for one that trips up even the pros. How do you handle rejection or failure in sales? It's part of the job, right? But not always easy to talk about.
Ugh. Yeah, nobody likes hearing no.
Yeah,
Especially after you've put your all into a pitch. It stings.
it does. But this question isn't about dwelling on those no's. It's about showing how you bounce back, how you learn from it, come back even stronger.
So, less about pretending rejection doesn't faze you, and more about having a healthy approach to it.
Exactly. A good answer here would be a specific example, a time you faced rejection, but instead of letting it get you down, you analyzed what happened, maybe adjusted your approach, and even ended up with a win further down the line.
Love that. Turn that frown upside down. Okay, here's another one that always feels tricky to me. What are your salary expectations? How do you answer that without, like, lowballing yourself or scaring them off with a number that's too high?
This is where good research comes in. RoleCatcher's Career Guide, that's your friend here, they give you realistic salary ranges for sales account managers in your area, at your experience level.
So I'm not just throwing a dart at a board hoping for the best. I love that.
Exactly. Knowledge is power in these situations. So once you've got that salary range in mind, you can confidently say, based on my experience, the responsibilities we've discussed, I'm targeting a salary between X and Y.
So much better than that deer in the headlights, you tell me response.
Right. Confidence is key. Be informed and don't be afraid to negotiate a bit. Now, let's talk about a question that usually comes up towards the end. Do you have any questions for us? This is your chance to shine. Show them you've done your homework and you're genuinely interested.
Okay, but what kind of questions? I don't want to waste their time with something I could just Google.
This is where you go strategic. Ask questions that show you're already thinking about their goals, their challenges. For example, you could ask, what are some of the biggest challenges the sales team is facing right now? Or what are the opportunities for growth in this role?
Ooh, those are good. It shows you're not just there for a job, you're there to make a difference.
Precisely. And it gives you valuable insights into the company culture, their priorities.
Love it. Okay, so let's say I've nailed the questions, I'm feeling good, the interview's wrapping up. What's the best way to leave a strong final impression?
Obviously, reiterate your enthusiasm for the role, thank them for their time. But here's a pro tip. Mention something specific that you discussed, something that stood out to you. It shows you were really listening, engaged.
So instead of a generic thank you, I might say something like, I was particularly interested in hearing about your expansion into international markets, and I think my language skills would be a great asset for that.
Now you're talking. That turns a standard thank you into a memorable moment. And don't forget the power of a well-written thank you note after the interview.
Oh, so true. It's easy to let that slide, but it makes a difference.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher has some templates for that too, right?
They do. They even help you personalize them with details from the job description or the company website.
It's like having a whole job search support team. Speaking of which, we've focused a lot on interview prep, but RoleCatcher helps with the whole job search, right? From finding those opportunities to after the interview.
Absolutely. For starters, their platform has this great search engine. Filter by location, industry, salary, even company culture, if that's important to you.
So much better than those giant job boards where you're scrolling forever.
Yeah.
It's like they're doing the heavy lifting for you.
Exactly. And get this, their AI can even look at your resume and suggest jobs you might not have even thought of.
Wow, that's really taking it to the next level. Okay, we've talked about finding jobs, prepping for interviews, but what about after the interview? Does RoleCatcher help with that too?
They've got you covered. Their platform helps you keep track of everything, your applications, interview schedules, even following up with employers. It's organization made easy.
Music to my ears. Staying organized is half the battle with job hunting. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to circle back to career progression. Landing a sales account manager role is amazing, but what's next? Can RoleCatcher help me figure that out?
That's where their career guide comes in really handy. It's not just about getting hired, it's about planning your future. Remember those career stages we talked about earlier?
Yep, from intern all the way up to senior management. I was definitely making notes.
Right. Each stage shows you the typical responsibilities, the skills you need, even the salary expectations. It's like a roadmap for your career.
I love that. So I can see where I want to be and what it takes to get there.
Exactly. And remember, RoleCatcher isn't just a platform, it's a whole community. They have a forum where you can connect with other job seekers, share advice, ask questions, even just vent a little.
Because let's be honest, job hunting can be stressful. It's good to know you're not alone.
Exactly. Having that support system can make all the difference.
Couldn't agree more. Well, sadly, we've reached the end of our deep dive into RoleCatcher. I've learned so much, it's been amazing. But before we go, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are ready to tackle their job search?
You've got this. You have the skills, you have the experience, and now you have the knowledge. Use those RoleCatcher tools, put in the work, and never stop learning.
I love it. It's a journey, not a race, right? And with the right tools and attitude, anything is possible. To all our listeners, good luck out there. And remember, RoleCatcher is in your corner every step of the way. Until next time, happy job hunting.